Now, if you want my opinion, it's hard to say what's going to happen with Fallout 76 and the Fallout franchise in general, because I don't think a lot of the backlash this game has generated and received is going to be just shrugged off in a few months' time. Something else that I think is worth pointing out is that games, movies, and other forms of entertainment that get as wide of a backlash as we've seen with Fallout 76 don't tend to do well. And if Bethesda leaves off with Fallout 76 until Fallout 5 comes out, I feel confident in saying that the sales of Fallout 5 could suffer. After all, positive fan excitement and hype allowed Fallout 4 to sell as well as it did, and it banked off of the success and popularity of both Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. What's going on, guys? This is VinylicPuma, back with another video, and before I go any further, I'd like to just go ahead and say that what we're seeing with Fallout 76 might actually be historic. I didn't think it was possible to top EA and Activision of all companies, but between the state of Fallout 76 as a game, the refusal of refunds, the whole Nylon Bag controversy involving this game's Power Armor editions, as well as the insane amounts of community backlash against Bethesda, Fallout 76, and the Fallout franchise itself, I think this might be an industry first. If you think about it, not only does Fallout 76 as a game have the reputation of something like No Man's Sky or Sea of Thieves, which is already bad enough by the way, but add on top of that the massive PR blunders that have occurred just this week surrounding Fallout 76, and at this point, I think it's safe to say that whatever goodwill amongst the gaming community that Bethesda had left is likely gone at this point. What I think is even more sad about the entire situation is that if someone at Bethesda or ZeniMax had simply just decided to take the hit and let consumers refund the game after downloading it on PC, I think things would have never even escalated to the point that we're at now. Fans wouldn't have gotten as angry as they did to go to the trouble to look into and try to find cases of false advertising, which led to the whole discovery and controversy surrounding the Nylon Bag swap in the first place. Unfortunately, and now, it appears that Fallout 76 is being surrounded with a number of different class action lawsuits. While it's unclear to what extent some of these class action lawsuits will materialize, it is worth mentioning that the gaming community has had its fair share of successes with class action lawsuits before. After all, gamers managed to get Nvidia to pay $30 to anyone who purchased a GTX 970 due to improper advertisement of the card's VRAM. If something can happen like that to Nvidia, I suspect it can also happen to Bethesda too, since the Nylon Bag situation is easily provable and well documented across the internet at this point. We'll see what happens, but it's clear that this whole episode involving the Nylon Bag and the response to it by various Bethesda accounts, along with just the rest of this game in general, truly goes to show how much of a nightmare Fallout 76 has turned out to be. I also think it's fair to say that this game, along with all of the PR fallouts, no pun intended, has stained Bethesda Game Studios' reputation. There was already talk before about how Bethesda had exhausted a lot of the free passes that they used to get before Fallout 76 when it came to things like technical bugs and glitches, but I actually think that now, and due to some of these PR blunders, the gaming community is going to apply far more scrutiny to any future Bethesda Game Studios title now, both when it's merited and when it's not. In fact, I can almost guarantee at this point, if Todd Howard were to get up on stage at E3 in the future and announce that Starfield is indeed running on Creation Engine, it's already going to be a mark against the game before it even gets off the ground. While I've actually been looking into some of the issues with Creation Engine, and it appears quite a number of the bugs are apparently fixable, the thing is, the Creation Engine branding itself has been so tarnished because of Fallout 76 that the average gamer doesn't have faith that it can deliver great-looking games anymore, especially when compared to the efforts we're seeing from other developers. There's also the fact that if there's a Starfield Collector's Edition, especially in the light of all of the controversy that's surrounding the Power Armor Edition, whether consumers are actually going to get what was promised to them. I'm not here to say that Bethesda didn't do anything right with the Power Armor Edition, as I like the T-51 helmet, but I also think that if you're already very visibly changing out canvas for nylon, and you're not making that clear to people, who in their right mind is going to purchase any future collector's editions from you? After all, they have good reason to think that they aren't actually going to get what was promised, so why spend the $200 to $300? The point is, the ramifications of Fallout 76 and all of its many controversies are going to be felt for a long time, and they will likely affect anything that Bethesda Game Studios launches in the future. I'm not here to assign blame, and to a certain degree, I don't think the average gamer cares who is to blame. But if anyone at Bethesda somehow manages to come across this video, you guys need to fix this somehow. I don't know what you have to do to make it right, but clearly what you're doing right now isn't working. Offering people 500 atoms, the equivalent of $5 US, doesn't even get you anything decent in the Atom store, especially when most items in the store that are offered cost 700 atoms or more. Overall, I think the whole experience with this game has turned out to be a mess, and as a fan, I almost just wish Bethesda didn't even bother releasing a new Fallout game this year. Because it really has been nothing but disappointment and heartache, and to see what has happened to what is and should be a great franchise is depressing. I said this in a previous video, but I think all of the decisions and all of the controversies surrounding this game make it seem like no one at Bethesda really cares about Fallout anymore, and that this game was never a passion project for them. It was just something that they could put out and milk the established fanbase for, while we're forced to wait another 3 to 4 years for Starfield, even longer than that for Elder Scrolls 6, and assuming the remote possibility we even get a Fallout 5, that's going to be 10 plus years from now. The thing is, if no one at Bethesda wants to work on Fallout anymore, or no one wanted to put in the effort to make a truly great single-player Fallout game this year, why not just license someone else to make the game? It worked out pretty well for you all before with New Vegas and Obsidian, and I'm sure that Microsoft would love to let Obsidian develop a platform-exclusive Fallout game for the Xbox. Even then, it doesn't necessarily have to be Obsidian either. If you had just licensed one of the many mod teams that are out there to make a Fallout game for you, that would have had better results than Fallout 76. I'm sure plenty of people that are passionate about Fallout would love to work on a game, and you could simply let them make games while you go off and do other things. Think about all of the fan mods like Fallout Miami, Fallout Cascadia, or even Fallout New California. People want those types of experiences that they aren't getting from you, and if you just simply let other people make the games, maybe that frees Bethesda Game Studios up to pursue other projects. I also think it would have been better for Bethesda's reputation as well. Rather than having your name being plastered on Fallout 76, it could have easily been some random dev team that you just hired. Because you made the game internally, and on a shoestring budget no less, you're in a situation where people are worried about your future games that you likely really care about and are heavily invested in, like Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6. All creating this game internally has done is garner incredible amounts of awful PR, serve as the foundation for potential litigation and class action lawsuits, and worst of all, upset the fans and consumers that actually buy your games. Also, think about what I mentioned earlier with Fallout 5 for a moment. Fallout 4 was successful in part due to the success of both Fallout 3 and New Vegas. After Fallout 76, who even wants a Fallout 5? Most of the lore that even Bethesda established that fans cared about has been retconned, and by even making Fallout 76, which is an incredibly underwhelming release, you're going to have a depreciated fanbase that's there to hype up the next Fallout game whenever it gets announced. Granted, I guess 10 years is a long time, and some steps with the Fallout franchise could be taken to help course correct, but until that happens, and based on what we have to go on right now, Fallout 76 just seems like an awful stopgap that's dragging down the series indefinitely, where other entries in the series got people excited for the next entry. Before we go here, I'll just say this. It's important to remember what happened with Fallout 76. I'm not saying you should boycott all Bethesda-published games going forward like Doom Eternal, Rage 2, or even Bethesda-developed games like Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, But just remember what happened with Fallout 76 and proceed cautiously going forward. If you've got a bad feeling about a Bethesda title, you may find it's wise to just skip it or take a wait-and-see approach, as I think so many people that picked up and got frustrated with Fallout 76 wish they had done that. Also, I think if the whole controversy surrounding Fallout 76 refunds is any indication, you're much better off taking a wait-and-see approach in the future, and hopefully Bethesda will wise up and put together a much better refund policy going forward. As for Fallout fans that are unsatisfied with Fallout 76 and Bethesda's current direction with Fallout, I'm like you in that I hope Bethesda looks at a lot of the backlash this game has generated and decides to course correct. I don't think Fallout is too far gone yet, but I do think if Bethesda does plan on ever releasing a Fallout 5 in the future, they're going to need to put out another good single-player game that reinvigorates a lot of the fanbase. While I'll admit it's unlikely that will happen, I can dream, and I think a step like that would go a long way and would be appreciated by most fans. At the end of the day, maybe Bethesda will fix Fallout and their reputation, but until then, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. Otherwise, guys, I think that's going to wrap up this particular video. If you liked this video, feel free to leave a like, click the bell so you can be notified when I upload more videos, and as always, take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.